One night my little brother and I stayed up late. We were playing on his GameCube and he had just gotten a new game, so we could have stayed up all night. It was about 1 a.m., so we decided to call it quits. We turned everything off and laid down. We shared a room and had a bunk bed. I slept on the bottom bunk since I didn't want to have a freak accident and squish my little brother. I remember that night I laid down facing the way I normally didn't. My head was next to the bedroom door, and I was facing the doorway. I must have fallen asleep right away because next thing I knew, I was waking up to the smell of cigarette smoke. Nobody in my home smoked, so I woke up thinking the next worst thing, that our apartment was on fire. I sat up in bed, and the smell went away. I got up and walked out to the living room. The apartment was fine and not on fire. I went into the kitchen, drank some water, and then walked back to the room. I laid back down, again facing the doorway. As I was dozing off, I smelled the cigarette smoke again, and as I slowly opened my eyes, I noticed a black boot right outside our door frame. I kept still, but opened both my eyes to make sure what I was seeing. I realized there were 2 boots. 2 black leather boots that were for some reason wet on the toes. I didn't dare move, but whoever was standing was also wearing black baggy pants and a long trench coat. I closed my eyes to think of what to do. I thought this was an intruder, a kidnapper, or a burglar, since the boots were so real. I opened my eyes as I heard 2 heavy footsteps against the carpet inside the room now. I saw the boots right up against the foot of the bed frame. I was watching the boots as they made their way around the bunk bed and stopped halfway. They were standing right in the middle of the bedroom, facing towards the wall, a wall which led to the apartment next door. I heard my little brother tussle around in the bunk bed above, and heard him mumble something. The bunk bed was moving because of my brother's tossing and turning, with this person standing right next to it. After a blink of an eye, I was able to see through the black trench coat. Thanks when I knew for sure this wasn't an actual person in our room. I think I sort of knew, because something wasn't telling me to get up and run. I could see the wall with just a black silhouette of the apparition. The apparition moved up to the wall, and then walked right through it. The ghost was gone. I sat up, and then I heard my brother sit up too. He climbed down from his bunk and sat next to me, and said he'd seen the ghost too. He told me he woke up to the scent of cigarette smoke and saw the apparition right next to him. He said it had a huge hood pulled over its head and couldn't see a face. He said he noticed the hood looked like it was wet and dripping. We stayed up a bit just talking about the hooded ghost. We even turned the light on to check if our carpet was wet or soiled, but it wasn't. My brother went back up to his bunk to sleep, and so did I. This story is as weird as it gets. You probably won't believe me when I say that I had something happen to me, exactly the same way, twice. The weirdest part is that the incidents happened about 15 years apart. The first time it happened, I was in a very famous park in San Diego. I think I was 11 or 12 when this happened. I was with my dad walking around, and I needed to go to the bathroom. I saw one from the distance, and I told my dad I'd be right back. I ran inside and ran past all the stalls until I reached the last one. Every single stall was open, with the door wide open. As soon as I closed the stall I heard a faucet turn on. I knew no one had gone into the restroom since I would have heard the heavy door open and slam shut. I was convinced I was alone in the restroom, so I bent down and peeked through the bottom of my stall to see if I saw anyone. I freaked out as I realized I really was alone in the restroom and the water was still running. The thing is, the faucet was one of those that you had to keep pushing to keep it on. And it had been stuck. Why did it start until I walked in? I came out to the sink area and completely avoided the one that was still on. I hurriedly washed my hands, and when I went to use the hand dryer, the faucet turned off. I turned around to look at it, and then I was startled by someone else coming into the restroom. They went into the first available stall, and then the stall door right across from the faucet that had been running slammed closed really hard. I had already dried my hands, but I kept standing there in disbelief of everything that was happening. The other person came out, washed her hands and left. I was still standing there freaking out. At this point, I was just standing at the beginning of the line of bathroom stalls just watching. I turned around to head out, and as soon as I did, the lights started flickering, and then a faucet started running. I turned to face them, and this time it was a completely different one that was on. I quickly turned around and left to meet my now anxious dad outside. I remembered the weird incident every time we went to that park, and never went inside that restroom again. Fast forward 15 years, and I was 26 years old now. I was working for Park and Rec as a gardener at a completely different park, on a different side of town, and I decided to take a break. I drove to a nearby hotel to use the restroom. I walked in, and again as I closed and locked my stall, the lights flickered, and I heard a faucet turn on. I immediately recalled my experience from 15 years before, and once again, I checked if anyone else was there. There wasn't. I quickly used the restroom, and meanwhile I heard the faucet running, along with accompanying faucets. When I came out from my stall, every single one was on. I leaned on the bathrooms and watched the faucets turn on and off, almost rhythmically. It kept going for minutes, and I was watching again in disbelief. I heard the first door opening to the restroom. I started walking towards the exit myself. As soon as I grabbed the door to pull it open, I saw the woman who was walking in, and all the water turned off. I smirked and left. I guess it even happened a third time just 2 years ago. But that incident is already on a different episode. I don't know who's haunting me in bathrooms. But every time it's happened, it's gotten progressively stronger and more efficient. I guess it's goodbye until next time.